The galaxy held its breath as two massive fleets faced each other at the galactic core. Billions of beings watched their screens, expecting to witness the greatest war in galactic history. Instead, they saw something no one had imagined possible. Captain Lee Ji-hoon of the Free Territory flagship Sovereign sent a message that reached every ship in both fleets, every space station, every inhabited planet in the galaxy. Today, we have a choice, he began. We can fight a war that will destroy countless lives and solve nothing, or we can prove that two different ways of life can exist in the same galaxy. Admiral Kethvar listened from his command ship. Around him, his officers waited for orders to attack, but the human captain's words made him pause. The Galactic Council has brought peace and prosperity to thousands of species. Lee Ji-hoon continued. That is a great achievement. But some species need something different. They need the freedom to make their own choices, even if those choices are wrong. On Nexus Prime, Chancellor Mordeth watched the broadcast with his emergency council. For hours they had been preparing for war. Now unexpectedly they were being offered peace. The Free Territories don't want to replace the Council, Lee Ji-hoon said. We want to coexist with it. Let species choose their own path. Let them decide if they want security or freedom, guidance or independence. Sir, Admiral Kethvar's aide whispered. What are your orders? Kethvar stared at the tactical display. His fleet could destroy the Free Territory forces, but at a terrible cost. And what would they gain? They couldn't force species to be happy in the Council system. Chancellor, he transmitted to Nexus Prime, I recommend we listen to what they're proposing. The negotiations took place on a neutral space station, hastily constructed at the galactic core. Representatives from hundreds of species gathered to witness the historic talks. For the first time in galactic history, two competing civilizations were trying to find a way to coexist peacefully. Dr. Park Soo-jin led the Free Territory delegation. She had been humanity's first contact specialist, and now she was trying to prevent galactic war. We propose the Galactic Coexistence Accords, she announced to the assembly. Two systems of civilization sharing the same galaxy. Chancellor Mordeth studied the proposed treaty. It was unlike anything in galactic history. Species would be free to choose between Council membership and Free Territory independence. Yes, and free to change their minds if they wish. That's chaos, protested Council Representative Ithkara. Species need stability, not constant choice. Some species need stability, agreed Dr. Park Soo-jin. Others need choice. Why can't both exist? The negotiations continued for weeks. Slowly, a framework emerged that satisfied both sides. The galaxy would be divided into zones, but not by force. Species could choose their government, their alliances, their way of life. The Council would maintain its territory and continue offering membership to species that wanted security and guidance. The Free Territories would expand into previously unexplored regions and welcome species that chose independence. Most importantly, species could change their minds. Council members could leave if they wished. Free Territory species could join the Council if they wanted security. The choice would always remain open, but the real breakthrough came from an unexpected source. The Valtharian Republic, one of the oldest Council members, proposed a third option. What about associated membership? Asked their representative. Some species want Council benefits without full integration. Others want Free Territory independence with some security guarantees. The idea sparked intense debate. Could there be multiple levels of membership? Could species customize their relationship with either system? President Han Nari joined the negotiations from Earth. The key principle is choice, she said. Every species should be able to determine its own relationship with galactic civilization. The final Galactic Coexistence Accords created something unprecedented, a multipolar galaxy where different systems of government coexisted peacefully. The Council maintained full membership for species that wanted complete integration. They also offered associate membership for species that wanted some benefits without full submission. The Free Territories welcomed fully independent species. They also created mutual defense pacts for species that wanted freedom with some security cooperation. Most revolutionary of all, the Accords established the Galactic Exchange Program. Young beings from all systems could visit other civilizations, learn different ways of life, and choose their own path when they came of age. The signing ceremony took place on the neutral station, with representatives from both fleets witnessing the historic moment. Admiral Kethvar and Captain Lee Ji-hoon signed as military witnesses, symbolizing the end of the armed confrontation. "This is not the end of competition between our systems," Chancellor Mordaunt said in his speech. "It is the beginning of peaceful competition. May the best ideas win." President Han Nari responded, "Competition makes us all stronger. The Council will improve by having alternatives to compare itself to. The free territories will learn from the Council's experience. Both systems will benefit." The aftermath of the Accords reshaped galactic civilization. Some Council species chose to leave and join the free territories. Some free territory species decided they preferred Council security. Many chose the new associate or partnership arrangements. The Council was forced to reform itself, offering more flexibility to retain members who now had alternatives. The free territories learned from Council experience in managing large-scale cooperation. Most importantly, the galaxy discovered that choice itself was valuable. Young beings grew up knowing they could choose their path in life. Innovation flourished as different systems competed to attract the best minds. 5 years after the Accords, Dr. Park Soo-jin served as humanity's first galactic ambassador. Her office on the neutral station welcomed visitors from across the galaxy, Council members, free territory citizens, and representatives of the new hybrid systems that had emerged. "Ambassador," asked a young Zephyrian student, "do you think the Accords were successful?" Park Soo-jin looked out at the stars, where ships from dozens of different species and systems traveled freely between different zones of the galaxy. "Success isn't about which system wins," she said. "Success is about preserving the right to choose. Every being in this galaxy now knows they have options. They can pursue security or freedom, tradition or innovation, community or independence. And if they make the wrong choice, then they can choose again. That's the most human gift we've given the galaxy, the knowledge that no choice has to be permanent." The student left and Park Soo-jin returned to her work. Her current project was mediating between the Council and a new alliance of explorer species that wanted to venture beyond the galactic rim. It was just one of dozens of new diplomatic challenges created by a galaxy where beings were free to choose their own path. Outside her window, ships from the Council and free territories worked together on a joint research station. Their crews argued constantly about methodology and goals, but they also learned from each other. It wasn't the peaceful unity the Council had once offered. It was something messier, more complicated, and more challenging. But it was also more alive, more creative, and more free. In the end, humanity's greatest victory wasn't defeating the Galactic Council. It was teaching the galaxy that no one way of life had to dominate all others. In a universe vast enough to hold billions of stars, there was room for billions of different ways to live among them. The galaxy would never be the same. And that, Park Soo-jin thought with satisfaction, was exactly the point. The Council's worst fears became reality when 3 unknown species emerged from the galactic rim. Their ships appeared at the edge of Council space without warning, armed with weapons that looked suspiciously similar to human designs. Supreme Chancellor Mordaunt watched the emergency briefing with growing alarm. Intelligence Chief Orthak displayed the tactical information on the main screen. "Sir, the 3 species call themselves the Iron Sovereignty, the Nomad Fleets, and the Warden Coalition. Each one commands hundreds of ships. Their technology appears to be human-derived but adapted to their specific needs." "How many ships total?" "Over 2,000 confirmed, sir. But our scouts report seeing many more in the unexplored regions." The largest of the new fleets was led by Captain Song Hye-jin of the Human Expeditionary Force. Her ship, the Pioneer, had been exploring beyond Council space for 20 years. Now she returned with allies. "Council representatives," Song Hye-jin broadcast on all frequencies. "I am Captain Song of the Human Expeditionary Force. I speak for the newly formed Free Territories Alliance. We come to establish our borders and announce our existence to the galaxy." Mordaunt accepted the communication from his command center. "Captain Song, I am Supreme Chancellor of the Galactic Council. Your presence here violates our territorial agreements." "What agreements?" Song Hye-jin asked. "We never signed any treaty with your council, and neither did our allies. Your allies are unknown species. They have no legal standing in galactic law." "Whose galactic law? The law you created for your own benefit?" Song Hye-jin's voice carried amusement. "Chancellor, you seem to think your council owns the galaxy. We're here to correct that misunderstanding. The screen split to show the leaders of the three new species. They were all different. One looked like a walking crystal formation, another resembled a metallic spider, and the third was a floating energy being. But they all spoke with the same confidence. "I am Warlord Crixton of the Iron Sovereignty," said the crystal being. "For 1,000 years my people have fought for survival in the Outer Rim. The humans taught us that survival is not enough. Now we claim our right to grow and prosper." "I am Fleet Master Zalnath of the Nomad Fleet," said the spider-like creature. "We have wandered the void for millennia, never staying in one place. The humans showed us how to be strong while remaining free. We will wander no more in fear." "I am Keeper Morthane of the Warden Coalition," said the energy being. "We have guarded the ancient ruins of our sector for eons. The humans helped us understand that guarding the past means nothing if we cannot build a future." Chancellor Mordeth realized the implications immediately. These weren't primitive species seeking protection. These were experienced civilizations that had chosen human philosophy over council membership. "What do you want?" he asked. "Recognition," Song Hee-jin said simply. "We're establishing the Free Territories as an independent region of the galaxy. Any species that chooses freedom over security is welcome to join us. And if we refuse to recognize your territories, then you'll be refusing to recognize half the galaxy," Warlord Crixton said with what might have been a smile. "Chancellor, your council controls maybe 30% of galactic space. We've been mapping and claiming everything else." The tactical display showed the horrifying truth. Red areas marked council space. Blue areas showed the new free territories. The blue areas were larger. But the real crisis began when Dr. Kang Myung-soo, Earth's chief military strategist, made a galaxy-wide broadcast. His message reached every inhabited planet, every space station, every ship in known space. "Citizens of the galaxy," he began, "for 10,000 years, you have been told that the Galactic Council represents the only path to peace and prosperity. Today we offer you another choice." Images showed free territory worlds, planets where multiple species worked together as equals, where technological innovation flourished, where individual cultures thrived alongside cooperative ventures. The free territories welcome any species that values independence over security, growth over stagnation, freedom over protection. We offer voluntary cooperation without mandatory submission. We do not ask you to abandon your current governments. We simply want you to know that alternatives exist. If your leaders have never told you that you could choose a different path, ask them why. The broadcast ended with coordinates for free territory space and an open invitation for any species to visit and see for themselves. The reaction was immediate and devastating for the council. On dozens of council worlds, populations began asking uncomfortable questions. Why had their governments never mentioned these alternatives? Why were they not allowed to travel to free territory space? Why couldn't they choose their own path? The first defection came within days. The Outer Rim colonies of the hegemony declared independence and requested human military advisors. Their message was simple: "We choose freedom." Panic spread through council chambers as more species began questioning their membership. The Veltharian Republic experienced massive protests demanding the return of their military independence. The nomadic clans began unauthorized movements toward free territory space. "Sir," reported Intelligence Chief Vorthak, "we have a bigger problem. Several of our member species are experiencing what they call quiet revolutions. Their populations are demanding changes to their government structures." "What kind of changes?" "They want the right to withdraw from council decisions. They want control over their own military forces. They want the ability to trade and communicate with free territory species. Sir, they want what the humans call sovereignty." Chancellor Mordeth felt his carefully ordered world collapsing. For 10 millennia, the council had been the only option. Now suddenly, species had choices. The crisis deepened when long-range scouts reported massive fleet movements. Both council and free territory forces were mobilizing throughout the galaxy. It looked like war was inevitable. Admiral Kethvar commanded the largest council fleet ever assembled, over 3,000 ships from every major member species. But Captain Lee Ji-hoon of the Free Territories matched him ship for ship, with vessels from dozens of independent species. The two fleets met at the galactic core, the symbolic heart of civilized space. Billions of beings throughout the galaxy watched as the most powerful military forces ever assembled, faced each other across the void. Admiral Kethavar, Lee Ji-hoon transmitted from the Free Territory flagship Sovereign. This doesn't have to end in violence. Captain Lee, your alliance threatens the stability of galactic civilization. No, Admiral. We're offering an alternative to your version of civilization. There's a difference. The Council has maintained peace for 10,000 years. The Council has maintained control for 10,000 years. Peace and control aren't the same thing. The standoff continued for hours. Both fleets had their weapons ready. One mistake, one nervous trigger finger, and the galaxy would burn. Then Lee Ji-hoon made an unexpected move. Instead of threatening the Council fleet, he opened a communication channel to every ship in both fleets. Soldiers of the galaxy, he said, look around you. See the ships of your allies and your enemies. We're all here because our leaders believe their way is the only way. But what if they're both wrong? What if the galaxy is big enough for different ways of life? He paused, letting his words sink in. We didn't come here to destroy the Council. We came here to prove that you don't have to join them to survive and prosper. Some species need the security and guidance that the Council provides. Others need the freedom and independence that we offer. Why can't both exist? The suggestion was revolutionary. For the first time in galactic history, someone was proposing that two competing civilizations could coexist peacefully. Admiral Kethavar found himself considering the possibility. Maybe the galaxy was big enough for both systems. Maybe choice itself was more important than which choice species made. Supreme Chancellor Mordeth's hands shook as he read Admiral Kethavar's retreat report. A Council fleet had been forced to withdraw by a species they had discovered only weeks ago. It was unthinkable. Schedule an immediate meeting, he told his aide. I'm going to speak with these humans personally. Sir, is that wise? They've already threatened one diplomatic mission. They haven't threatened anyone, Mordeth said quietly. They've just refused to be threatened. The meeting took place aboard a neutral space station at the edge of human territory. Mordeth brought his best diplomats and scientists. The humans sent General Park Jin-woo, their Secretary of Defense. Park Jin-woo was a tall, stern-looking man with gray hair and calm eyes. He walked into the meeting room like he owned it, showing no sign of being impressed by the most powerful being in the galaxy. Chancellor Mordeth, he said with a polite nod, thank you for coming to meet us. General Park, I must ask directly, why does your species choose conflict over cooperation? Park Jin-woo sat down across from the Chancellor. You're making a mistake, Chancellor. We haven't chosen conflict. We've chosen independence. What's the difference? We're not trying to hurt anyone. We're not expanding into your territory. We're not attacking your ships or threatening your people. We're simply ensuring that no one can force us to do anything we don't want to do. Chief xenopsychologist Yolandra leaned forward. She had studied alien minds for 2 centuries. General, our council offers protection, technology, and prosperity. What more could any species want? Freedom, Park Jin-woo said simply. But you would have freedom within the council structure. No, we wouldn't. Park Jin-woo touched a control on the table. We've studied your member species very carefully. Let me show you what we learned. Images appeared on the room's screens, historical records from dozens of council member species. The Valtharian Republic used to have the strongest military in their sector, Park Jin-woo began. When they joined the council, they agreed to defensive cooperation. Within 50 years, all their weapons were controlled by council forces. They couldn't defend themselves without council permission. More images flashed by. The nomadic clans of Zirion roamed freely through space for millennia. After joining the council, they were assigned specific territories and told they couldn't expand without approval. Their wandering culture died within a generation. The hive minds of Antares used to make decisions through complex individual debate. Council integration introduced efficiency protocols that eliminated dissent. Now they think with one voice, a voice that always agrees with council policies. Yolandra shifted uncomfortably. These were all true facts, but presented in a way that made the council sound sinister. You're describing the natural process of integration, she said. Species give up certain freedoms in exchange for security and prosperity. Exactly, Park Jin-woo said. And that's exactly what humanity rejects. Chancellor Mordeth leaned forward. But General, surely you understand that complete independence is impossible in a dangerous galaxy. There are hostile forces, natural disasters, resource shortages. No species can handle everything alone. You're probably right, Park Jin-woo agreed. But we'd rather face those challenges as free beings than live safely as subjects. That's illogical. To you, maybe. But humans have a saying, give me liberty or give me death. We mean it literally. Dr. Yil Andra studied the human general carefully. I don't understand your species' psychology. Why would you choose potential death over guaranteed safety? Park Jin-woo smiled. Doctor, let me ask you a question. If the council decided tomorrow that your species needed to change something fundamental about your culture for the greater good, could you say no? Well, we would discuss it in the council chambers. That's not what I asked. Could you say no? Could your species refuse? Yolandra was quiet for a long moment. The answer was no, and everyone in the room knew it. That's the difference between us, Park Jin-woo said. We've built our entire civilization around preserving the right to say no. Even to you, but the risks are ours to take. Doctor, would you rather live a safe life where all your major decisions are made by someone else, or a dangerous life where you make your own choices? I've never thought about it that way. President Han Nari's image appeared on the screens, joining the meeting from Earth. Chancellor, our species has studied every civilization in the galaxy. We know about the ancient empires that rose and fell before your council existed. Do you know why they failed? Please enlighten me, Mordeth said. They all made the same mistake. They believed that safety and prosperity were more important than freedom. They created perfect, peaceful societies where no one could make bad choices because no one could make any real choices at all. And they stagnated. They stopped growing, stopped learning, stopped adapting. When real challenges came, they couldn't respond because they had forgotten how to think for themselves. Mordeth felt a chill. The description sounded uncomfortably familiar. Your council is 10,000 years old, President Han Nari continued. In all that time, have your member species created any truly revolutionary technologies? Have they developed new forms of art or philosophy? Have they expanded into unknown regions of space? The Chancellor was quiet. The honest answer was no. Council species were content, safe, and prosperous. But they had indeed stopped innovating centuries ago. We don't want to destroy your council, President Han Nari said, but we also don't want to join it. We want to remain free to make our own mistakes, fight our own battles, and find our own solutions. Even if it means facing dangers alone, especially then, because facing danger alone forces us to become stronger, smarter, and more creative. Your protection would make us weak. Dr. Yolandra asked the question that bothered her most. General, what if you're wrong? What if independence leads to disaster for your species? Park Jin-woo considered this seriously. Then we'll fail as free beings. But doctor, what if you're wrong? What if safety leads to slow death for your species? The meeting continued for hours, but the fundamental positions never changed. The council offered safety through submission. Humanity demanded freedom through self-reliance. As the talks ended, Chancellor Mordeth made one final appeal. General, please reconsider. The galaxy is vast and dangerous. You cannot survive alone forever. Chancellor, Park Jin-woo replied, you're assuming we plan to remain alone. What do you mean? We've been exploring beyond council space for decades. We've made contact with other species, independent species, species that never knew your council existed. Mordeth felt his blood freeze. What are you saying? We're saying that your council isn't the only civilization model in the galaxy. There are alternatives, and we're sharing our technology and philosophy with anyone who wants to remain free. The Chancellor stared at the human general in horror. You're building a rival power structure. No, Park Jin-woo said calmly. We're offering choice. For the first time in 10,000 years, species will be able to choose between your way and our way. As the human delegation left, Chancellor Mordeth sat alone in the meeting room. For the first time in his long life, he wondered if the council had made a terrible mistake. They had assumed they were the only option in the galaxy. Now they had competition. Admiral Kathavar commanded the largest council fleet assembled in over 1,000 years. 50 massive warships moved through space toward the edge of human territory. Each ship could destroy a planet if needed. The message was clear. Submit or face the consequences. Sir, we're approaching the boundary of human space, reported his navigation officer. Good. Begin the demonstration. I want every human colony to see our power. The council fleet spread out and began military exercises just outside the Sol system. They fired their weapons at empty space, showing off their devastating power. They performed complex maneuvers that demonstrated their superior technology and coordination. On Earth, Admiral Kim Dae-ho watched the alien fleet on his screens. He had expected this. The Council was trying to frighten humanity into submission. "Sir, should we respond?" asked his aide. "Oh yes," Kim Dae-ho said. "Send the signal. Activate Protocol 7. Throughout human space, colony commanders received the same message. 3 simple words. Protocol 7. Execute. Within minutes, every human colony in the galaxy went silent. Communication signals stopped. Energy readings disappeared. To any outside observer, it looked like human civilization had simply vanished. Admiral Kethavar noticed the change immediately. "What happened to their colonies?" "Unknown, sir. All human settlements have gone dark. No communications, no energy signatures. It's like they all shut down at the same time. Impossible. Colonies can't just disappear." "Sir, should we investigate?" Kethavar thought for a moment. "Yes, take the fleet to their nearest colony. Let's see what happened." The Council fleet moved toward a system where human scouts had reported a mining colony. As they approached, their sensors confirmed what they had feared. The planet showed no signs of life or activity. "Sir, there's something strange about this system," reported the science officer. "What do you mean?" "The asteroid belt. It's moving." Kethavar looked at his screens. The asteroid belt around the dead planet was indeed moving. But asteroids didn't move in formation. They didn't coordinate their movements. And they certainly didn't turn to face approaching ships. "Sir," his weapons officer said nervously, "those aren't asteroids." The asteroids began to spread out, revealing their true nature. Each one was a manufactured object covered in rock and metal to look natural. Each one was the size of a small moon, and each one had weapons. Captain Choi Min-jun's face appeared on the Council fleet's communication screens. He was broadcasting from one of the disguised weapons platforms. "Admiral Kethavar, welcome to human space. You wanted to see what happens when you threaten humanity with military force. Congratulations. You've just activated our full defensive protocols." "This is impossible," Kethavar said. "You're a primitive species. You can't have technology like this." "Primitive?" Choi Min-jun laughed. "Admiral, while your council spent 10,000 years managing your perfect little galactic society, we spent every day preparing for this moment. We knew someone would eventually try to force us to submit. We've been ready for you since the day we reached the stars." The council sensors showed the terrifying truth. What they had thought was a simple mining colony was actually a massive industrial complex. The humans had consumed entire planets to build weapons and defenses. The asteroid belt wasn't natural. It was a fleet of weapons platforms disguised as space rocks. "How many?" Kethavar asked his tactical officer. "Counting all the platforms, sir, over 3,000 armed installations. Each one is larger than our biggest ships. But the worst news was yet to come. Sensors detected movement from every direction. Similar asteroid belts were moving toward them from all over the system. And long-range scans showed the same pattern in every human system. Commander Yu Sora's voice joined the conversation from another weapons platform. "You seem surprised, Admiral. Did you think we were just sitting on our home planet waiting for someone to conquer us? Your species is only a few centuries old," Kethavar protested. "How could you build all this?" "Simple," Yu Sora replied. "We never stopped building. Every human colony, every mining operation, every space station, they all had one primary purpose. Prepare for the day someone stronger would come and try to make us submit." The tactical display showed the Council fleet completely surrounded. The humans had thousands of weapons platforms and more were arriving every hour. But these weren't just static defenses. The platforms were mobile, coordinated, and obviously controlled by experienced military minds. "We studied your council," Captain Choi Min-jun continued. "We know how you operate. You find a species, offer them protection and technology, and when they accept, you take away their ability to say no." "Well, Admiral, humanity says no. You can't fight the entire Galactic Council," Kethavar said. "We're not trying to fight anyone," Yu Sora replied. "We're just making sure no one can force us to do anything we don't want to do." Kethavar looked at his tactical screens. His 50 ships were powerful, but they were surrounded by thousands of human weapons platforms. Even worse, his sensors showed that this was just one system. Intelligence reports indicated that every human colony had similar defenses. "Sir," his communications officer said quietly, "we're receiving reports from our scouts in other systems. The same thing is happening everywhere. Human colonies that appeared dead are suddenly revealing massive defensive installations. How is this possible? Kethvar muttered. It's possible because we planned for it, said a new voice. General Park Jin-woo appeared on the screen from Earth. Every human colony was designed to look helpless to outside observers. Mining colonies, research stations, agricultural worlds, they all had secondary purposes. What purposes? Building the largest defensive network in galactic history. We've spent 300 years turning our entire territory into one giant fortress. The implications hit Kethvar like a physical blow. The humans hadn't just rejected the Council's offer. They had been preparing for war with the Council since before first contact. Every colony, every expansion, every construction project had been part of a massive military buildup. You've militarized your entire civilization, he said. No, Park Jin-woo corrected. We've made our entire civilization unconquerable. There's a difference. The Council fleet sensors detected more movement. Long-range scans showed human ships emerging from hidden bases throughout their territory. Not thousands this time, but hundreds of thousands. Ships of all sizes, from small fighters to massive battleships that rivaled Council dreadnoughts. Sir, his aide whispered, we need to withdraw now. But Kethvar was staring at something else on his screens. Intelligence reports from the Galactic Rim. Human exploration ships had been spotted in uncharted regions, far beyond Council territory. They weren't just defending their current space. They were expanding into areas the Council had never even explored. How far does your territory extend? He asked. Captain Choi Min-jun smiled. Admiral, you're thinking too small. We're not just defending a few dozen systems. We've been exploring and building throughout this entire spiral arm. While you've been managing your existing members, we've been claiming everything else. The terrible truth became clear. The humans hadn't just built defenses. They had been quietly building a rival civilization in the unexplored regions of the galaxy. A civilization that could say no to the Council and make it stick. Admiral, his navigation officer reported, we're detecting massive energy buildups throughout the system. I think they're preparing to fire. Kethvar made the hardest decision of his military career. All ships withdraw immediately. Full retreat to Council space. As the Council fleet fled, Captain Choi Min-jun sent one final message. Tell your Council that humanity is open to peaceful relations between equals. But we will never submit to anyone, ever. Supreme Chancellor Mordeth read the emergency message from Ambassador Velteron 3 times. He had ruled the Galactic Council for 50 years. He had seen wars, disasters, and crises, but he had never seen a report like this one. A species that refuses to join the Council? He said to his assistant. Are you sure this message is correct? Yes, sir. Ambassador Velteron sent it twice to make sure we received it properly. Mordeth called an emergency meeting of the full Council. Representatives from hundreds of species gathered in the Great Chamber on Nexus Prime. The air filled with different languages and the sounds of various alien breathing patterns. Fellow Council members, Mordeth announced, we face an unprecedented situation. A species called humans has not only refused to join our Council, but has threatened our diplomatic vessel with military action. The chamber erupted in shocked voices. Council member Yethkara of the Zephyrian Empire stood up. Surely they just need more time to understand the benefits of membership. No rational species would refuse our offer. Perhaps they fear our technology, suggested Vexmorth of the Crystalline Hegemony. A simple demonstration of our superior power would convince them to see reason. The Biocollective representative, a creature that looked like walking tree roots, spoke in its strange voice. We should study their psychology. Every species has weaknesses. Find theirs and they will submit. Mordeth raised his hand for silence. I have arranged a virtual meeting with their leadership. Perhaps direct communication will resolve this misunderstanding. The large screen in the chamber lit up, showing Dr. Park Soo-jin sitting in a simple room on Earth. She looked calm and confident, not at all impressed by the hundreds of alien species staring at her. Dr. Park, Mordeth began, I am Supreme Chancellor of the Galactic Council. We are confused by your species' response to our generous offer. Perhaps you don't understand what we're offering? Park Soo-jin smiled politely. Chancellor Mordeth, we understand your offer perfectly. Advanced technology, protection from enemies, trade opportunities, and membership in a galactic community. We appreciate the offer, but our answer remains no. But why? Asked Ithkara. We offer everything a species could want. That's exactly the problem, Park Soo-jin replied. We've studied the histories of your member species. We know what happens when you uplift a civilization. She touched a control and images appeared on the screen. The Zephyrian Empire gave up their right to expand beyond their current territory. The crystalline hegemony handed over control of their military to council forces. The Biocollective merged their individual consciousness into a collective mind that follows council guidance. The chamber fell silent. These facts were true, but no one talked about them anymore. Each species that joined your council gave up something important, Park Soo-jin continued. Their independence, their military power, their right to grow, or their individual identity. You call it integration, we call it surrender. Mordeth felt uncomfortable. We provide protection and prosperity in return. Our member species are happy and safe. Safe, yes. But are they free? Park Soo-jin asked. Can any of your member species leave the council if they choose? Can they expand their territory without council permission? Can they develop weapons without council oversight? Can they say no to council decisions? The silence in the chamber was deafening. The answer to all those questions was no, and everyone knew it. Humanity chooses a different path, Park Soo-jin said. We will develop our own technology, protect ourselves, and remain free to make our own choices. We don't want to be taken care of. We want to take care of ourselves. That's foolish, snapped Vex Morth. You'll face dangers you can't handle alone. Space pirates, hostile aliens, natural disasters. You need our protection. We'll face those challenges when they come, Park Soo-jin replied. But we'll face them as free beings, not as protected children. After the meeting ended, the council chamber buzzed with worried conversations. For the first time in 10,000 years, someone had analyzed their system and rejected it completely. Meanwhile, intelligence reports began arriving that made the situation even more troubling. Long-range scouts reported that humans had been busy in their local area of space. They had colonies on dozens of planets and moons. They had mining operations in asteroid belts. They had built space stations and defensive platforms throughout their region. How is this possible? Mordeth asked his intelligence chief. They've only had space travel for a few hundred years. Sir, it appears they've been expanding and building at an incredible rate. Most species take thousands of years to colonize even a few systems. The humans have spread throughout their entire local region in just a few centuries. What are they building out there? Unknown, sir. But our scouts report massive construction projects on every world they've colonized. And, sir, their ships are everywhere. More reports came in throughout the day. Human ships had been spotted far from Earth, exploring regions that even council scouts rarely visited. They seemed to be mapping everything, studying everything, and building everywhere they went. Sir, his aide said nervously, there's something else. Our scouts report that several human colonies appear to have disappeared. Disappeared? The planets are still there, sir. But there are no energy signatures, no communications, no signs of life. It's as if the humans just vanished. Mordeth stared at the star chart showing human territory. Red dots marked known human colonies, but many of those dots had question marks next to them now. On Earth, Admiral Kim Dae-ho met with his senior staff. Status report on Operation Dark Sky, he ordered. All outer colonies have successfully implemented stealth protocols, reported Captain Choi Min-jun. To outside observers, they appear abandoned or destroyed. And the real status? Manufacturing is ahead of schedule on all sites. The asteroid belt facilities are producing ships and weapons faster than projected. The moon bases are fully operational. All defensive platforms are online and hidden. Kim Dae-ho nodded. And if the aliens decide to use force? They'll get a surprise they'll never forget, Captain Choi Min-jun said with a grim smile. Back on Nexus Prime, Mordeth received the final intelligence report of the day. It was short but disturbing. Sir, our deep space monitoring stations have detected unusual gravitational anomalies in human space. The patterns suggest massive objects moving in coordinated formations. What kind of objects? Unknown, sir. But the mass readings indicate objects the size of small moons. And they're moving. Mordeth looked at the star charts one more time. For 10,000 years, the Galactic Council had been the only major power in the galaxy. Every species they met joined them willingly, grateful for protection and technology. Now, for the first time, they faced a species that not only said no, but seemed to have been preparing for this exact situation for centuries. He pressed a button on his desk. Get me Admiral Kethvar. Tell him to prepare a demonstration fleet. Maybe the humans just need to see our power to understand their situation. But as he gave the order, Mordeth felt something he hadn't experienced in decades: uncertainty. The massive alien ship moved slowly through space toward the small blue planet. Ambassador Veltaran stood on the bridge, looking at the screens showing Earth getting bigger as they approached. He had done this same job for over 300 years. He had met with hundreds of different alien species. Every single time they were excited to join the Galactic Council. "Sir, we are getting close to their planet," said his assistant. "Should we send the standard greeting message?" Veltaran nodded. The message was simple and had worked every time before. They would tell the humans about the wonderful galaxy full of friends waiting for them. They would offer trade, technology, and protection. The humans would be amazed and grateful to join. On Earth, Admiral Kim Dae-ho sat in his office deep underground. Red lights flashed on his desk as the alien message came through. He had been expecting this day for 20 years. Earth's telescopes had spotted alien ships moving between the stars. They knew someone would come eventually. "Sir, we have the alien message," said his aide, Captain Lee Won-sik. "They want to talk." Kim Dae-ho read the message on his screen. The aliens called themselves the Galactic Council. They said they had over 10,000 member species. They offered friendship, advanced technology, and protection from enemies. All Earth had to do was join their council and follow their rules. "Send our reply," Kim Dae-ho said. Dr. Park Soo-jin walked into the communication room. She was Earth's top expert on alien contact. She had spent years preparing for this moment. She sat down in front of the camera and spoke clearly. "Greetings to the Galactic Council. We are honored by your visit to our solar system. However, humanity must politely decline your offer of membership. We choose to remain independent. Please respect our decision and leave our space immediately." On the alien ship, Veltaran stared at the message. His translator must be broken. No species had ever said no to the Council. He played the message again. The words were clear. The humans were rejecting them. "This must be a mistake," he told his crew. "Send another message. Explain the benefits better." For the next 6 hours, Veltaran tried everything. He offered them medicine that could cure all diseases. He offered machines that could create food from nothing. He offered weapons to protect them from space pirates. He offered to share the knowledge of 10,000 civilizations. Each time, Dr. Park Soo-jin gave the same answer. "Thank you for your generous offers, but humanity chooses to remain independent. We ask again that you leave our solar system." Veltaran was confused and frustrated. Don't they understand? We're offering them everything they could ever want. Why would they refuse? His military advisor, Commander Thexelon, looked worried. "Sir, our sensors are picking up movement around the planet. Many ships are launching from the surface." "Primitive ships," Veltaran said. "Their technology is centuries behind ours." "Yes, sir, but there are a lot of them. Our computers count over 2,000 ships heading our way." Veltaran watched his screens. The human ships were indeed primitive. They used chemical rockets and simple weapons. But Commander Thexelon was right about the numbers. More ships kept launching from Earth and from hidden bases throughout the solar system. Captain Lee Won-sik's voice came over the radio from the lead human ship. "Alien vessel, this is your final warning. You have been asked politely to leave our space. You have refused. You now have 24 hours to depart, or we will consider your presence an act of war." "War?" Veltaran laughed. "Their weapons can't even damage our shields." But his science officer looked nervous. "Sir, I'm reading some unusual energy signatures from their ships. And there are more arriving every hour." "How many more?" "Our estimate is now over 5,000 ships, sir. And they keep coming." Veltaran couldn't believe it. In his 300 years of first contact, he had never seen anything like this. Most species had maybe a few hundred ships total when the Council first met them. These humans seemed to have thousands, and they were all armed and ready to fight. On Earth, General Park Jin-woo monitored the situation from the war room. Charts showed the positions of every human ship in the solar system. More were coming from the outer colonies every hour. "Sir, the alien ship is still not moving," reported an officer. "Then they've made their choice," Park Jin-woo said. "Signal all ships. Prepare for Operation Sovereign Shield." In space, the human fleet began to move. The ships were small and looked weak compared to the giant alien vessel. But they moved with purpose and coordination. They formed a sphere around the alien ship, with multiple layers of ships at different distances. Veltaran finally began to feel worried. How many ships do they have? Our latest count is over 8,000, sir. And more keep arriving. 8,000? That's impossible. No species has that many ships when we first meet them. His tactical officer spoke up. Sir, I'm analyzing their formation. This isn't random. They're using advanced military tactics. These people have been planning for this exact situation. Planning for what? For someone like us to arrive and refuse to leave when asked. Veltaran stared at the screens showing thousands of human ships surrounding his vessel. Each ship was small, but together they looked like a swarm of angry insects around a giant. Dr. Park Sujin's voice came over the radio one more time. Ambassador Veltaran, this is your 12-hour warning. We have asked you politely to leave. We have explained that we do not wish to join your council. We have given you time to depart peacefully. You have chosen to remain in our space against our wishes. In 12 hours, if you are still here, we will consider you an invading force. Invading force? Veltaran said to his crew. We came here to help them, sir, his communications officer said quietly. I don't think they see it that way. Outside the ship, more human vessels continued to arrive. The alien sensors now counted over 10,000 ships. Each one had its weapons pointed at the council vessel. For the first time in his long career, Ambassador Veltaran didn't know what to do. No one had ever threatened the Galactic Council. No one had ever said no to their offers. And no one had ever surrounded a council ship with an entire military fleet. He looked at the countdown timer on his screen. 11 hours and 37 minutes until the human deadline. Send a message to council headquarters, he told his communications officer. Tell them we have a problem.